And welcome back to the Delaware Boys Dynasty Football Podcast. Ryan, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Back at it again with the mock draft. We really have to start knocking these things out. This is the third of many we're going to knock out before the NFL draft starts. Going to keep checking where values are for players, keep checking where people are landing for you guys. That's about it. Today we have a special guest. I'll let Steven bring him in for us.
Yeah, I just want to say, though, before we bring him in, Ryan, I know you had to miss it, man, but the podcast with Leo, the interview was the biggest live stream, hosting amount of people that have been in here since we got started. It was crazy. It was 280 people live watching with us.
Wow.
Yeah. Without further ado, special guest tonight, another content creator for the yards per team. Buy and Sell You is his at name here. I know him as Sam Wise. Everybody, say what's up.
How's it going, people? Ready to pick up about 3 trillion running backs if this falls the way I think it's going to.
Where can we find your content at, buddy?
I always do threads and talk on Twitter. Obviously, I'm working on a series right now at Yards Per Fantasy, and I'm kind of a mercenary, so you might hear me on some other podcasts as well.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Again, this is our third mock draft. We're gonna do a couple of more of these before the season gets started. Ryan and I are working on our ADP article. We always do this before the draft. Shows the change between the combine and between the draft, and how these dynasties have, or how these players have changed ADP wise. So this is our third mock draft. Ryan, before we get started, please make sure to grab a screenshot at the end for me so we can continue that.
Always.
Let's see who is here. Over half the draft is here. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. And we're going to get rolling, boys.
Yeah, we're mostly here. This might be the first one we actually have people auto-drafting based off looking at this, but we'll see who comes through. We got this one filled a little bit too early in the day, I think.
Yeah, this one was filled pretty early.
Yeah.
And we're on the clock, boys. Let's do it. This one we might be waiting for a minute.
Yeah, it looks like we'll be waiting for 3 minutes. But I mean, just to fill in time, I think Alex,
what's up, buddy? Sam, you have a special admirer here in the chat.
Man, the pressure is enormous.
Oh man, Ryan, you and I, we always get to thank our yards per team for a phenomenal platform, man. We always have a lot of love on here, man. It's great. The amount of viewership and constant viewership from people on the yards per platform has been awesome.
He's here. Sorry, my bad. Go on.
Caleb Williams. Let's get rolling with it.
Then we figured
this is about the toughest decision I've ever had to make.
But yeah, no, back to the yards per thing is like we have Sam on today. I would love to have more people on from yards per. Seriously, I love the platform, I love the people that we're working with, and I'm grateful to be part of the organization that we're with. But Sam's a good start, but we need more people on here.
So we got Marvin Harrison followed up by Jayden Daniels. Great way to start it. Marvin Harrison, my consensus 1-2. I think there's actually a little bit of a break between these two, and then my third being Malik Nabers at 3. I'm a big Malik Nabers fan.
Yeah, so
in my home league, I'm drafting third, and I'm probably going to do what Beachhead just did there, just because I need quarterback help so desperately.
Yeah. So you're on the whole Jayden Daniels over Drake May thing as well. So I'm starting to see that shift to Daniels over Drake May late in this draft process.
Well, I think when you look at it, you see Drake May as being a longer term answer. You know what I mean? Like he might not come out shot out of a cannon to start with. So if you're comfortable at quarterback, but you know you're going to take one, you can afford to do that. I'm going to be taking Jayden just because I want somebody that's going to produce immediately. And I think he's going to produce at least in his first year and a half, a little more quickly than May will.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Just the rushing upside alone, it offers a lot more and a lot of air that maybe some of these pocket passers don't exactly have to start their NFL careers with. That being said, I was hoping Jayden would be here at the 4 hole. I got a pivot here, and I'm actually going to take your guy here. I'm going Malik Nabers at the 1-4. Hey, listen, man, I was fully prepared to take Jayden Daniels at the 4 spot, but like I said, we're starting to see that shift. I'm starting to fall a little bit further down the board on Drake May myself. And I just think Nabers isn't really too far behind Marvin Harrison. I mean, the more I watch, the more I look into it, the more I'm like, okay, these are guys that are getting closer to 1A, 1B than 1 and 2.
Fair enough. I truly will back that testament here. But I'm going to go ahead and take my guy. Still my QB2 in this class. A guy that I could see long-term being a franchise quarterback for whoever takes him, whether it be the Commanders or the Patriots. One of the strongest arms in this.
Absolutely.
One of the strongest arms in this class. I do think there's a little bit of critiquing when it comes to his profile, but I think this kid has all the raw tools and raw ability to be an absolute stud. I love Drake May, always have. I love the sneaky rushing upside. I love his pocket presence. I love the way he can see the pocket collapse. I love a lot of things about his profile. And I still have Drake May QB2.
You're going to be on the island for a while. You're avid. I shouldn't say avid, but you're a little bit bullish on rushing quarterbacks as rookies.
I am.
Yeah.
I always have the question, do you think this guy is going to earn a second contract in the NFL? I had the same question coming in about Anthony Richardson. We saw Anthony Richardson with one of the worst college profiles for a passing quarterback in quite some time. But he's one of the most athletic QBs to ever come out of college football. Jayden Daniels is not Anthony Richardson by any means. I do think the passing upside is huge with Jayden. I do like some things in Jayden's profile, but I also will tell you that Jayden is not very good at avoiding contact. And at 6 foot 210, that's not a good trait to have.
Yeah. We got Alex, who's in the chat but not on his phone drafting.
Alex, my boy, follow it up. He's a Rome Odunze guy, so watching Rome Odunze fall, I'm actually curious where he goes. JJ. That's actually the pick I was expecting.
Yeah, you see Bowers fall to the 1-7 here.
It's all pretty chalk to this point, I think, because Odunze just keeps moving up.
Right.
And I saw somebody posted something earlier today comparing his final season to that of Jetta, and it's almost remarkable how similar the numbers are. It's just too bad for Odunze. It comes out in the same class as Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Nabers. Otherwise, I think he'd be wide receiver 1 easily.
I will say I looked at Matt Harmon's reception perception charts on Rome Odunze, and I was rather impressed with that as well. Mm-hmm. We always talked about his fluid movement for his size, Deli, and like how he uses his length and his strength and his speed to separate from DBs in very crafty ways that a lot of people don't notice. But he's fluid in all areas of the game. I mean, you could just see it. I mean, do you appoint that to having McMillan and Polk and him and who's going to draw him up on one-on-one coverage on the outside in Washington? They were aired out system, or do you chalk it up to pure skill? What is it? I'm going to go with the pure skill aspect.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't ever shy away from the reception perception charts, and I mean his is definitely shows a lot of like areas that I never even noticed in some of his game as well.
Yeah, I tend to lean towards just general athleticism way more than speed. You know, there's a lot of people make something out of speed falling flat on its face, which is not true. It's just that it's much easier to point out guys that came out, you know, fast and then didn't amount to anything. Your John Rosses come to mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I still tend to lean towards just general athleticism. I mean, you're talking about a receiver that's got several inches on a defensive back, you know, and one's running forward, one's running backwards. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, you know, that you want the athleticism on your side of the field.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have like a Drake London. Yes. Like a Drake London prototype. Like that's the kind of receiver that reminds me of. Obviously the floor or the ceiling is Mike Evans. That's who you want out of these big body receivers. He's the epitome of what a big body X outside alpha receiver looks like. It's hard to grab a Mike Evans. It's hard to find that. But if you can play at a Drake London skill set, who I think has a very bright future in the league,
I'm a huge London fan.
Yeah.
Me too. Kirk O'Chains, baby.
Hey, with London, with Kirk arriving in town, new coaching change, everything might change for him.
Absolutely.
So
I really hope we don't auto draft this pick too.
He was just here. He was just in here, like as his clock was ticking. He'll be back in a second, I hope.
Yeah, he's probably just waiting on notifications. Yeah, you know, hopefully I don't know. There's something I like about Atlanta just in general. You know what I mean? They're not my team or anything.
No.
But I was one of those people crossing my fingers for Cousins to get there. You know, for London's sake, for Pitt's sake, for, you know, even Bijan Robinson. Sure, he's a running back, but I mean, for his sake too, to open up the offense.
Mine for Kirk too, because coming off this Achilles injury, I mean, you are looking at a top 7 offensive line in football, as opposed to playing with a bottom 10 offensive line in Minnesota. Yeah. I think coming off this injury, it has to be that you can't rush Kirk back, and you have to have protection for him up front. I mean, the Achilles injury coming off of that is rough, and I mean, and to supply him with these weapons is going to be a lot of fun.
Well, and you've got for Kyle Pitts, you've got wow, that was quick.
That was a big surprise for me. Keon Coleman at the 2-1 spot.
Really expected maybe Brooks to kick off the running back run here. Xavier Worthy still out there too.
Well, emotions, baby.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I'm gonna reach here. In my home league, I have the 4th pick in this round, and I expected the running backs to start coming off at 201.
Yeah.
But this is my guy right here this year, so I'm gonna take him a little early.
Yep.
I'm never mad at that pick.
Yes, sir. We're 2 trade Benson stands here, so you won't hear us scoff at that pick at all.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's not going to make it all the way back around, so might as well do it now.
Right.
You know, it's a fun game. Go get your guys.
Yeah.
Don't you be that guy. Don't you be that asshole.
So, didn't expect this guy to be here, especially with Odunze going right before him.
Here we go.
But look, he's here at the 2-4. I know we just touched on not wanting like a speed guy, and I get, you know, he gets the comps to John Ross because you see this thing. But here's the thing: John Ross didn't break out until his final year in college. You saw Xavier Worthy break out as a freshman at Texas, and I think that says a lot. And he's continued it throughout. And I don't think he's like, you see John Ross, who's kind of used in like gimmicky ways. He was like a punt returner there, kind of used in a lot of like flats and slants, but you see Worthy on these big burner routes. I think I have a lot of faith in Worthy, even though he's a little bit undersized and maybe a little bit too quick for like his history speaking. But I think I'm in on Xavier Worthy this year.
Yeah, I actually also I think you have both things going for you with Worthy, because he's another one of my guys. And if I hadn't taken Benson, that would have been my pick. Yeah. Because he does have that speed, but like I was just saying, he also has a lot of athleticism regardless of his size. So I trust him to go get a lot of balls.
Yeah.
To get him at 2.4 is relatively criminal. Let's just be honest.
I agree.
We're talking about John Ross. This dude runs routes at a tenfold better than John Ross.
Oh yeah,
that too.
Oh yeah,
that too.
I don't think John Ross ever learned to run routes at all.
John Ross never had a route tree. This dude's in and out of breaks. This dude's fluid movements on top of his speed. He's crisp. Xavier Worthy is a great pick. We're talking about a Power 5 breakout as a freshman. We're talking about a QB play that honestly held him back from being a top 5 receiver in college football at all times.
Especially this past year.
Yeah, it was crazy. Well, let me make my pick here. Thanks, Ryan, for ruining my day. Appreciate you very much.
Sorry.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lock in the Texas running back. I'm going to go ahead and lock in Jonathan Brooks here. Some question marks with him. Obviously, the ACL tear. Looking at it from a perspective of he played behind Bijan and Roshan in his college career. 1 year of solidified production at Texas. But I truly, truly believe that Jonathan Brooks can be special here. It's a mock draft here too, so 2.5 is a good spot here. We're talking about an all around do it back. There were some question marks with Blake Corum coming in for me when it comes to his production after his injuries. His yards per attempt have dropped. His yards per game have dropped. A lot of touchdown upside in that offense, so I can't say anything about it. But I think Jonathan Brooks overall is the more overall well-rounded back, and I'm going to take Brooks.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, here's my thing with the running backs in this draft class. Now, obviously, we're drafting now with no landing spot in mind, right? But let's just say a Jonathan Brooks.
Drake May is the fucking truth. I'm just going to tell everybody that now. My flag is planted on Drake May. I do love you some Drake May.
What's up, Dep Dog? Welcome to the show, brother. But yeah, no, just back to this. This is all off no like landing spots type of deal. But I guess my question is like Jonathan Brooks or Braylon Allen or Trey Benson ends up with the Cowboys with their vacancy at running back. Do you think that they slip into the back end of the first round? Do you think we're still going to see these guys fall in like the front of the second?
No, this wide receiver class is too strong. This might be the greatest wide receiver.
I disagree. I think in a lot of leagues, I think if you've got a league full of pretty smart drafters, that might be the case. But in so many dynasty leagues, I think somebody at 211 or 212 is going to grab the first running back they can.
Yeah.
Well, it also depends on, like, when you say a first round pick, it also depends on if you're playing in a 12-team league. Because if you think about it,
sure.
8 picks are already locked in. 8 picks from the jump.
Yeah.
You're going to have 4 QBs. You're going to have the 3 wide receivers, and you're going to have Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
The last 2 picks are wild cards in a 10-team draft.
That's why I asked. Yeah.
But honestly, me and you are huge on Troy Franklin. I am huge on Troy Franklin. He is my wide receiver 4. I would take him at the 1-8 in most of my drafts if I'm not QB needy. JJ McCarthy would fall to 1-9 if I were at the 1-8. After that, like I said, we love Brian Thomas's profile. Brian Thomas, picked football up late. We're talking about a high school kid who just came into it, and he's already showing the ability to separate with freak athleticism and great body control and things like that we love to see. We already talked about Xavier Worthy. I don't know, man. I don't really see the running back run starting until like the 2-1, 2-2.
Yeah, it makes sense. The only reason I ask is I think the Cowboys offense offers a lot of opportunities for a running back, especially if it's like a bigger one. People get a little bit happy. You know what I mean? People's always looking for the next big running back. And I think landing in Dallas is like a huge, like, plant the flag. I think it's guaranteed with that offense, the way they run it, high production.
But me and you have talked. This isn't the class for running backs. 2020.
I agree.
Class for running backs.
I agree.
Yeah.
Next year's running back class is probably 3-4 times better than this year's class.
There's some certified studs in that class. Studs.
We got Singleton. You got Judkins and Trayvon Henderson stayed in for some reason.
Davian Martinez.
Yep.
You got Sean Gidi out of Boise State. You
Ollie
got
Gordon.
Studs out of this next class.
Yeah. So plenty, and tons of running backs next year.
Yeah.
Hold on to your 2025 picks. That's all I'm saying.
Especially if you're running back needy.
See if this guy comes back in here. I'm gonna just hit him with the notification real quick.
Yeah, I absolutely love the 2025 class of running backs. Plus, you have Luther Burden, Evan Stewart, McMillan out of Arizona. It's a skill position heavy class. There's not really one QB that stands out for me in the 2025 class.
One always slips through though. One always slips through the cracks. Don't worry.
Sure, but it's I don't know if it's Cade. I don't know if it's not Drew Allar. It's not.
That's come from a Penn State fan, so
it's not Drew Allar, bud. Last significant QB we've produced, like that had success in the NFL, Kerry Collins. What you know about my boy Kerry? Giants legend, baby.
Screw him. This guy's really gonna. I mean, I doubt he falls to me anyway, but this guy's really gonna auto draft who I wanted at the 3-4. But you know what? It happens.
This is our first auto draft we've ever had too.
This is the first. Yep. Out of the two we've done, these are the first two that we've seen people time out in.
Oh, Corum
would have been. I don't know if he would have let him slip to me or Beachhead would have, but Corum would have been my pick at the 3-4. That's my running back too, just for the record.
Well, I'm not crazy about taking another running back. I'm so protective of the running backs in this class because we just saw a lot of free agent signings. And I don't think anybody has a clear path unless you're just playing the lottery and hoping somebody lands, like you said, with the Dallas Cowboys or somebody else. I really like Malachi Corley, so I'm going to go with him right here.
I don't hate it. The only reason Corley, all right. So here's my thing with Corley. I like him as a prospect. I like what I see with Corley, but I got bit really, really hard on Treylon Burks. And Corley's game reminds me so much of Burks that as much as I want to draft Corley for his upside, I'm scared off because he might be another Treylon. You know, he looked in the same thing. You look at his game in Arkansas, he's kind of like that gadget guy. They used where they could just give him the ball and let him go. It's the same thing with Corley. And I hope Corley works out. I really do, because I like his tape. I like what I see, but
yeah, I mean, he's not gonna catch a ton of downfield throws,
right?
But you're hoping he can get, you know, not just over the middle, but some deep slants where he can find some separation and make somebody miss, and then he's gone. You know what I mean? But I totally agree with your comp to Burks, and I was also burned by Burks in two different leagues. In one of them, I already flat out dropped him in a dynasty league. I just completely gave up.
It's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame. But I hope Corley works out. I mean, he looked great at the Senior Bowl.
And that was a reach. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was definitely a reach, but some of the tape I saw on him, you know, it was very I don't know who I can liken him to. I mean, he's built like a house. So you know, I like that about him. So there's, once again, I'm leaning towards that athleticism factor.
Yeah. Like I said, your best is as good as mine. All right, so I'm stuck in a little bit of a, I don't know. I'm kind of stuck here because on one hand, and I'll show my hand, I like Leggett a lot. Well, not a lot. I shouldn't say that, but he's passed all my tests so far. The only thing that worries me about him is his late production, which in college just doesn't always fare well for the league, which scares me off of him. Which leads me to the running backs. You know what? I'm never taking this guy in a mock draft.
Nice.
I think tight ends are a little bit misconstrued sometimes. I mean, you saw last year. I'm not saying, look, Brock Bowers undoubtedly tight end 1 in this class. I'm not saying that, but last year we saw Kincaid was the front runner for the most part of the draft profile, and I got, let's say, Laporta as far back as the Corliss LaVisca, as far back as the 212 in a dynasty draft. So I think I'm done sleeping on these tight ends. Let them get into the league. Let them see what situation they get themselves into. I think the tight end position, especially with this new hip drop thing, it's gonna be really hard to take down these bigger guys.
Right.
Sanders in the 3rd round, I think, is worth a shot.
I'm gonna go ahead and take my wide receiver out of UCF. Easy pick for me here. One of the wide receivers I'm higher on in this class. His profile screams monster. Absolute beast. Over 2.6 yards per route run versus man. Over almost 3 per zone. Knows how to beat you on both sides of it. I love this kid, man. Absolutely love this kid. I think this is going to be one of those wide receivers that we're talking about that you get later in the draft. It's an absolute steal. Yeah. Love
yeah,
this.
I asked you a couple weeks ago in our first one if you had a flag plant on a late round value. Do you think Javon Baker is that for you this year?
My fourth round one was tight end. My fourth one was my boy out of tight end. My hold on.
Not?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured.
That was my 4th round value here. But at the same time, Javon Baker is one of those guys that you look at that his profile just screams upside. And like I said, I love that pick there. Because to be honest with you, there's a lot of receivers here that I'm not taking before Javon Baker. Braylon Allen falls late.
There goes Braylon Allen. I was considering him too in that Sanders pick, but
yeah, I was starting to look at my next pick like, seriously?
Yeah. I don't know. Braylon Allen, who I think last year was, I think, most people's RB2 in this class, and he has just done nothing but slide down boards.
Right. Well, a lot of that is just the problem with everybody piling on. One person says one thing about somebody, and maybe they're well respected, and then everybody else jumps on board, and then everybody else jumps on board with them. Yeah. And the next thing you know, the guy that goes, in the last pick of the rookie mock draft is the best guy that there is. You know what I mean? It's like playing the lotto across the board.
Jalen Wright also. Going late
there. I like Jalen Wright. You don't like Jalen Wright for some reason, Chalmers, but
I don't. I think his vision. I think he has an absolutely blind. He's a blind Alvin Kamara. I've talked about this. His vision is god awful.
We'll talk about the vision, but at the same time, if he's still averaging 7 yards per carry in college and his vision is bad, could you imagine?
It's easy with Tennessee, who plays as a top 5 offensive line in the NCAA. Have you seen the holes that he runs through? Jalen Wright's tape to me isn't massively impressive. His athletic profile is impressive. His tape isn't to me at all.
Ricky Pearsall.
That is a great pick.
Yep.
Great pick. I do like Ricky Pearsall as well. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Jalen Wright. Like I said, you have to have vision to play in the NFL. He doesn't have vision. I love the athleticism. I do. He's Devon Achane without vision. That's what he is.
Yeah. And Cade Stover off in the 1st to 4th round.
Not too bad.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Especially, I mean, in TEP leagues, obviously is going to be completely different. But regardless, he's got some good tape. There was a minute there where I thought Leggett was going to fall to me, and I've seen a lot of people say some bad things about Leggett, and I'm like, or Leggett, however you say it. And I was like, I'm not buying it. I like the tape. So I'm going to go with a role player here. catches a lot of passes in PPR leagues. I can plug him in whether he's the starter on a team or not.
No.
So I'm getting some good depth out of that.
No.
Will Shipley.
God damn it. My man took my fucking tight end. That's crazy. My boy Theo Johnson. That's fucking crazy.
That was your dude?
It was
That's
Theo
my dude.
all along.
That's my plant. That's my flag plant in the 4th round.
No, I think you said that last podcast, to be honest with you.
I did.
Listen,
I took him 4th round.
listen, I'm sitting here at the 4-4, right? 4th round. I get the combine.
Dude.
The combine did not go great for him. Okay. 40 time, not great. But if you look at the tape, he still looks like he could be a productive NFL running back. And I think as we get closer to the draft, he'll start to rise back up again. But people are still very much bitter about his combine performance. I still like Bucky Irving, especially over a few of these guys that have already went. So 4-4 for Bucky, I don't hate it at all.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to throw a very big shot in the dark here, boys. So here we go. We all know he's a 5-star quarterback. We all know his attitude was absolutely awful. His leadership ability was absolutely awful. Lost his job.
Oh, God.
But
do what we're about to do.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. I was very impressed with his Senior Bowl performances. And, you know, I mean, he does offer tools as a quarterback that I think could translate to the NFL. Obviously, I'm not saying he's going to be a starting quarterback. But in the 4th round, I'm going to take a shot on my QB here. I'm going to go ahead and land my boy Spencer.
Wow. Spencer Rattler.
Well, it was Theo Johnson, so thank you, Beachhead. You're an awesome guy. And then, of course, you go Bucky.
I've been a Rattler fan longer than I care to admit, and was actually a little bit disappointed at what he did when he got to South Carolina. But yeah, I mean, he's a big dude. He's still. It's not like his arm got weaker, you know.
Nope.
So, you know, I think there are worse shots in the dark to take.
Yeah, I'm just going to take it because my flag plan got taken, to be honest. I don't like that.
So now your flag plan's on Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, now it's Spencer Rattler.
Now, honestly, though, like I was never impressed with Devontae Walker. Aldrich Estime, to me, I don't know what he is as a big bruiser back.
He's a goal line back.
Right. His profile is weird. I don't know how he translates to the NFL. I do like Jermaine Burton. I have been watching a lot of Jermaine Burton tape here. It could have been there, but I didn't really want to go there. Johnny Wilson, I think he's better as a tight end. He hasn't made the transition yet, but we haven't talked about him a whole lot. And then I didn't like Brandon Rice at all. Was not a fan of Jerry's son. Not at all. And then it gets pretty weak down here. Mm-hmm. Do like Jabari Thrash though as well. But Malik Washington out of University of Virginia is also a good one.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
I love you just completely skip over Jalen McMillan, who I'm on the fence about. I'm not 100% sold on him yet, but I still think he deserves to go in the first 40 picks of drafts. He's just sitting there. And then the same thing, Jacob Cowing. I think his tape still holds strong. Maybe he's probably more like a free agent. He's going to be a prove it guy in training camps and stuff like that. But I think he's got a shot too. And then Sanat tested very, very well at the tight end position in this pro day and combine. So just some guys to look at. Gorendo.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah.
I liked him too out of Louisville.
At 40 time. Shoo, that's going to shoot him off boards. There goes McMillan.
Yeah. And yet, no matter how many people talk Gorendo up, he doesn't seem to move up the boards for anybody
at all.
I think he might end up being a real surprise when he gets to the NFL.
Ryan, I'm going to drop this. We need a screenshot for that.
Gotcha. Give me 2 seconds. All right, you're good.
Got it.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Oh shoot! I'm mad you took the board down already. I was going to ask if there was any picks that you felt out of place or anybody that fell too far.
I'll pull it back up. Hold on.
We'll go for a strong 40-minute podcast this time. Just get to that mark.
So as I look at the board, picks, there's really no the Keon Coleman pick for me was a little high. It's just a wide receiver that I'm a fan of. I actually don't have him ahead of Mitchell, Worthy, McConkey. And honestly, I think Leggett went very late. Xavier Leggett stands out for me as a pick at the 3-9. That's a huge value.
I agree.
I don't even have Keon Coleman ahead of Xavier Leggett.
I didn't either. I took Keon Coleman in the first draft I did with you guys. Not while I was on here, but when I was just drafting from my phone.
Yeah.
And I think I took him at 2-9 or 3-9 or something like that. 2-9, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
And even that, like, I felt dirty doing it. You know what I mean? I was like, this is too high to take him, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So 2-1 is a little surprising.
Yeah, I think I also think the running back value is crazy here.
Yeah. Running backs are going very late, but I can't express this enough. I don't care how late Keon Coleman falls. I will not be drafting him at all. And if he wants to prove me wrong, go for it. I have no stock in him whatsoever. I'd rather have all the way down to probably every receiver up until Pearsall over Coleman, if I'm being 100% honest with you.
I think Pearsall also might be better than Keon Coleman.
That's what I'm saying. Like everybody, like Malik Washington, Brandon Rice, McMillan, Cowling, sure, we can put Keon Coleman maybe above those guys. But I think Pearsall, Leggett, whatever it is, Baker, Corley, Wilson, Polk, McConkey, all those guys, I think I have comfortably ahead of Coleman. But I get the upside, though. He's a big red zone target, and he doesn't create a lot of separation, but maybe an NFL team can find his way. Well, I'm not here to show anybody's picks. Everybody's got a reason to believe in a guy.
He reminds me a lot of N'Keal Harry, man, and that's scary.
Yeah. N'Keal Harry, Dorial Green Beckham type of guy.
Dude, Dorial Green Beckham was so good.
Good. He was. Yeah. I don't think there's anybody that, other than Leggett, how the fuck you say it, we'll figure it out, that went like too late. I think Pearsall might have been a little bit too late, but not by a whole lot. Everything else, I think, kind of fell into line pretty well in this draft.
Yeah, I do agree with what you guys said about the running back value. This is not the way I expected the board to go at all. I kind of thought, at the very least, if I hadn't reached for Benson, I would have thought that starting right around Stevens' pick, that we'd have had probably 4 of the next 6 picks be running backs. Just because that's how I would expect a lot of fantasy players to play. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that, you know, they want the shiny new toy coming out. I don't know that everybody is smart enough to realize that a lot of these running backs aren't going to get opportunities straight off the bat.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And now you've got the NFL realizing that they maybe overestimated or underestimated now. They went completely the opposite direction, saying that, you know, the shelf life for a running back is so much shorter now. It's like if the guy isn't
absolutely,
if the guy is like above drinking age, you got to like shelve him. You know what I mean? Like if he's not 18, I don't want him. Yeah. But meanwhile, we just saw a free agency where you saw, you know, a bunch of 27, 28-year-olds signing pretty good sized contracts. Because I think front offices started to realize, well, maybe we went too far, you know, instead of just saying like 32 is too old and then 30 is too old. They're like, well, now 26 is it.
Yeah. Me and Steven have a huge rule. Well, I think we do separate rules here. My whole rule is the 1,500 touch mark, including college and NFL. And then Stevens is after their first contract, ship them off. Now, I get, like, it's not always the best case scenario because, you still got guys like Derrick Henry and, like, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook, even a little bit into a second contract. You see these guys that break that mold, but at the same time, the older they get, the less value they're going to have, especially from a dynasty standpoint. You kind of want to ship them out after you think they had their best season and then bank on it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. At the same time, I think I think the best way to build a roster is obviously through quarterback and wide receiver.
Yep.
So there's always going to be running backs there. And, if you do a startup right now, I mean, you can get guys in like the 9th. You can do a no running back draft or 0 running back draft and then get starters in like the 9th round, because everybody else is like, hey, he's too old. And I'm like, I don't think Saquon Barkley's too old. You know what I mean?
Well, it gets to a certain point where it becomes disrespectful.
Right.
But yeah.
Do you think May is a better value pick than Jayden, assuming Jayden goes to the Commanders and May goes to the Pats? I like May a lot better than Daniels, by the way, but I'd hate to see him go to the Pats. I'll be honest with you. Both situations aren't very good. You're talking about the Washington Commanders O-line, who allowed over 96 sacks last year. So please understand that the Washington system itself isn't very good. Obviously, the New England Patriots system isn't very good. I don't think both stand out as any ideal landing spots for both. It just comes to how they build around them. Washington and New England are both top 7 in salary cap. So if you're going to invest in a young quarterback, I don't think you can be afraid to spend money. Caleb is walking into the best system of the 3 by far. But it comes down to how you build around these guys.
Well,
I mean, whoever.
If the Vikings move up, whoever goes there is also in a great situation.
I think they get JJ. I don't think they touch the top 3. I think they get JJ McCarthy.
We'll see. You never know with this stuff. But
NFL draft is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a crazy draft, by the way. But yeah, I mean, personally, Alex, I think Drake May is better as well. So you're not alone on the boat.
No, I agree that May is certainly the better prospect. I just, for fantasy purposes, if you need points right now, then Jayden Daniels is the guy you got to get.
I think that's the key. Is right now we're talking from a fantasy standpoint. Obviously, you can ooze over Jayden Daniels' rushing upside and look at that as like a savior for his points and let him develop as a passer. I think Drake May, and I said it in the podcast before, is probably the safest quarterback here because he is a pocket passer. He can stand in and get the ball out, do what he needs to do, but he doesn't offer any. Well, I can't say any because he has sneaky athleticism.
Yeah, he does.
He doesn't really offer a ton of rushing value compared to Jayden Daniels.
No.
But like Sam said earlier, he prospected as the longer-term franchise quarterback compared to Jayden Daniels, who might not get to a second contract if it goes sideways. I mean, look at Justin Fields. We just saw him get shipped off as a backup quarterback.
But we can't notch the fact that Drake May had 800 rushing yards in 2022. I mean, if the dude walks away single season, what's to say that he can't be the next Dak Prescott? Like when it comes to that side of it, 400 rushing yards, maybe 500, depending, 6 rushing touchdowns. Those guys have sneaky upside that build into a passing profile.
Absolutely.
I don't think Drake May's athleticism should go unnoticed.
No, and it should be noted that there's a lot to be said for being able to throw on the run and that making you a better prospect too. And May does that.
Yes.
He throws on the run extremely well, particularly when he's looking downfield. He always keeps his eyes up. He doesn't just immediately look down at the ground and tuck the ball away. He leaves his eyes up till the last minute before he heaves it, or doesn't heave it or heaves it out of bounds. But, he's the better prospect. He could be Peyton Manning, throw a zillion interception his first year and still have a long career in the NFL. He's going to come around either regardless.
Yeah. I mean, guys, not many people come into the league and tear up the NFL like Justin Herbert did. That is an anomaly type season. I mean, we all know
CJ Stroud, right?
Or CJ Stroud or Baker Mayfield when he broke Peyton's, rookie touchdown record. Like those things don't happen often, but you know what I mean? They do happen. There are anomalies, and I don't think Drake or Jayden are that anomaly. I think it's Caleb. I think Caleb is built for the success early. I love what the Bears have done for Caleb. I love the fact that they own the 9th pick, and they also have the ability to improve their roster with that pick. I think Caleb is the anomaly if it's going to be, but if it's not, it's going to be Drake for me.
Yeah. That's what I stand on that. But before we get off here, anybody else have anything else to say before we wrap up?
No, I don't think so. This was fun, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody, we appreciate you guys stopping in. Everybody that was with us for the live, for the part of it. We had over 50 people just sit here and watch us talk about football. How can you get mad about that, Ryan?
Can't.
Ryan, anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
Yeah, no. As usual, thanks for those who participated. We saw both Alex's in the chat as we were doing this draft, so appreciate you guys for doing the draft and watching. And as always, Steve normally does it, but I don't say it enough. Thank you to Alex. Thank you to Leo, who allow us to have a platform to say what we need to say, get it out there, help the people out. And Sam, thank you for taking your time tonight. It's about time we got you on, buddy.
Absolutely. I'm here anytime.
Ryan, busy schedule this week. Tomorrow, interview with Coach Bruce.
Yep.
So just be aware that is happening tomorrow, guys. Thursday, podcast. Next Tuesday, interview with Snug's Dynasty Society over there at FF Snug. Awesome guest coming up, guys. We got a packed schedule. Ryan did what I usually do. So on that note, guys, we're going to end the podcast on that, and we are out.